Welcome to Wainstone Fishery. Up the other end of the country this time. This is that 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗲 I see topping out there with that common. That one's come off. Yes! Well, that takes a little bit of pressure off of things, doesn't it? And what was really good, we actually noticed that fish was out there bobbing about with another fish, which was a common. And it's definitely that fish that was out there. And it doesn't look that bad. So yeah, it was the right thing putting a rig on it. Half hour to an hour that was out there. It's not a bad fish. Not a bad fish. So there we go. I mentioned that we're at Wainstone Pool, but what I didn't mention, this is 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗲𝗄𝗏𝗄𝗎 lake, and this is the first one out of this very, very picturesque little lake in the middle of a little secret forest. And I can't grumble, I've been here a few hours and I've already got one notched off. While I was playing this, my right hand rod went as well, but unfortunately that one didn't come to anything. But I'm happy with this start. Cracker. Oh, got cramp in the back of my leg. Oh, hamstring. Oh, it's getting old. So my first opinion of the place as I've rocked in through those gates this morning was, wow, what a lovely, mature little lake. It is very, very well kept, and you can tell that this lake is owned by an angler. So yeah, I couldn't really see a lot this morning when I once turned up because it was very, very foggy. But as that fog's lifted, I've looked over my shoulder and there's some very, very big hills behind me, and it's very picturesque. And this is something that I'm not used to because I come from Kent and it's quite bland and yeah, a few small hills, but that's about it. So yeah, I feel privileged to be here. Yes. So I spent today pretty much sussing out this lake, and the first thing that I've done is I spent a couple of hours just sitting by the water edge, just seeing if I could see any signs of fish. Now, I know there was people on here prior to me turning up, and I know they had a few fish. So what I didn't know is how much bait they put in. So I wanted to see if I could see any signs of baited areas out there having fish over them, which was causing disturbance. I was fortunate enough that I did see quite a bit of activity, and it was generally in the centre of the lake. So what I wanted to do, I didn't want to put too much bait in, so it was very, very small amounts, past called, body crumb, that sort of thing, just a handful with some glugged, high attractive hook baits, and it resulted quite quickly in them two fish. So I'm really, really happy with about that. It's a good start to this session, and as the time has gone on through the day, I've been seeing regular patterns with fish showing themselves in certain areas. So I'm quite confident now that I've got the approach right. I've got my rigs out on these areas. Now, the problem I hear with this lake is it can be a little bit, it's not riggy, they spook easy. So we've all been in a situation when you're chasing fish around, you chase them from one area to another area. You never actually catch the fish because you're just pushing them around the lake. So what I've actually done is I created a little bit of commotion in the centre of the lake here with putting a little bit of bait out. And did I cause commotion? Not that much, because I did use a bait boat, but you still got the motors going out there. So I put that one out first, and then I went to the other area. It did push the fish up the other end of the lake, just around the corner to my right hand side. So by the time I put that rig out, it pushed them back onto my original spot, and then that rod went. And then I caught that fish, and that caused another bit of commotion, and then it pushed them back that end of the lake, and then that rod went. So I think by doing one rod there and one rod there, I'm moving the fish from one end of the lake from spot to spot. So I think that is the best chance I'm going to have of having a few fish out of here. Yes, I'm pushing them around, but that's a good thing, because when I'm pushing them from one area to another, they're coming across my bed of bait, and that's what's worked so far. It's been a little bit slow this afternoon, but the temperature's dropped a little bit. Tomorrow's going to be a little bit warmer, and I think they'll probably get on it a little bit more if that temperature just rises that little bit more. So I'm settled now, and I've been told it doesn't do many night bites, so it will be interesting to see if we can get a night bite, and I'm taking that as a challenge. So let's see what happens. So I woke up to my alarm about 5 o'clock this morning and had a look out and couldn't really see much. So I decided just to actually bring my rods in and have a rebait up. And when I did, I was glad I did it actually, because I didn't have any bait left on either one of my rods. So it may be that the bait I'm using is particularly water soluble and it's just come off overnight. But I was baiting back up my rigs, and as I was doing that, I see a showing fish. So I got the rig, or a rig, back out onto the showing fish, and I kid you not, it hit the bottom of the lake bed and it just went pretty much straight away. That PVA must have melted in 20-30 seconds, and then off she ripped, and yeah, resulted in this little fella. Nice fish, nice scaly pattern, nice bit of colour to it as well. So I think fishing to showing fish is probably the way. If you see them, put a bait on. It seems to have done the trick. A little bit of wound on its tail there. It's an old wound, it's not fresh. Certainly something I haven't done, but I'm going to give that a treat as well. So my approach so far has pretty much been, don't know. So the fishing approach so far has been very much putting rigs on showing fish, and that's worked. So when I've seen a showing fish, I put a little bit of bait out there, and I've been using dynamite chili hemp with a can of maize mixed in with it, and I've just been putting little hand quantities around the hook bait in the bait boat, taking it out to the area and just dropping it on where I'm seeing the showing fish. Now I know people are going to say, oh, using a bait boat, but it's not the fact I can't cast there, it's the fact that the fish don't like heavy 4-ounce leads smashing the water. So that's the reason why I'm using the bait boat here. and it is working, and it's working very well. And the proof's in the pudding, because I am literally putting that bait boat over that spot when I've seen a fish and dropping it, and it's going off quickly. As soon as I throw a lead, and I did try leading around earlier, all that does is it moves them away. So yeah, the bait boat or a baiting pole is definitely the approach here, and you can use either on this lake and get to pretty much most locations. So I'm going to set up in a minute a little stalking setup. I've got a set of sawn offs, little 6-foot rods, and I'm going to have them ready to go. So if I do see something around the other side of the lake, then I can bring in my 2 main rods, and I can take the little stalking setup, move around there, and yeah, see if I can stalk a couple out, or just lower them or drop them on their heads around the other side of the lake. Now, I've been picking up some of the smaller fish at the moment, but I have heard some very, very loud sploshing around the back of the island to my right hand side, and they sound something, it sounds like it's something quite decent. Now, it did it yesterday morning between 10 and 11:30, and it's done exactly the same today. So I'm going to keep an ear out and a look at what's going on over there. I'm going to watch the water constantly, and if I do see fizzing or fish, I'm going to bring rods in, and I'm just going to put them on top of the fish. It seems to work, like I say, so that is the approach at the moment, and I'm just going to continue with that. But I'm quite keen about that spot round the back there, and I'm not sure what I'm actually going to do about that at the moment. It may be that I leave it till tomorrow morning and get some rigs out there about 7 o'clock in the morning before the fish move round there, because if there is a pattern there round there at a certain time, I want to get my baits out there before they move in. So yeah, it's just a visual mind game. It's like playing chess. You've got to work out your opponent's move. Wow, I'm seeing a lot of things now, and there's a lot of smaller fish in this particular area that and I've picked up a few of them, but what I have noticed is I've seen some bigger fish boshing round the corner. I did give it a go earlier, didn't give it a lot of time, but when I did sit there I was only fishing quite, not too far out. But there is a lot of big fish there, and I did have a moment a little while ago where I got very excitable while speaking to someone on my phone, and it put me off my flow of thought and talking. So with what I've seen around there, I think if something was going to happen, I would have had it by now here. That's the shallow end of the lake. The sun is just starting to pop out, it's getting warmer, and I think the fish will be heading that way if they're not that way already. So I'm going to grab my barra and I'm going to go round there, and I'm going to fish around there for the rest of the day. I may even stay around there for the rest of this session, I don't know, but my gut is telling me to go down there and don't sit here. Like I say, there's a lot of small fish showing themselves here, bigger fish are showing themselves down there, and I'm after the bigger fish, not the small fish. Spot round here, and right on the corner of them reeds and them lily pads, there's a big fish keeps bobbing his head out. So I think the bait boat, the noise of the engine or the motor is going to be a little bit too much for it. So what I'm going to do is I've got the old pole out, so I'm going to see if I can sneak this rig over the top of it and just lower it on it to its head. See what happens.
He's in a different place. So what's happened?
So yeah, went round there, pushed the fish out. Like I said, I wasn't going to do it at the start, and chase them around, and I've done exactly that. And come back, and they're all in front of me now, where I was originally. So yeah, but I have learned a lot because the sun's out and I can see them all now. So I've made a bit of disturbance in one area, and they do push out, and then I led it about in another area, and they went back. So I'm gonna stick to what I was doing at the first, and bait out, commotion in another area, with putting more bait out in a different area. So I've spread my rigs around in this central area here, and as I'm working from one area to another area, it's just pushing them backwards and forwards. And I'm watching them doing it now. You know, the area I've just marked about and played about with a rig out there, they've all moved back in there now. So yeah, I've just got to sit on my rigs. That is it. Put them out there, sit on them, and just wait. Stop chasing them.
Sun's out now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, bit of a weather change.
Yes, 100%. But it's good seeing them because there's actually shitloads out in front of us. A little bit of an update. It's been a bit quiet today, but it's been very, very hot, and they've been cruising about, to be fair. But as soon as that sun started to drop, and that temperature dropped a little bit, they started to feed by the looks of it. So that's my second of the day. So that puts me on 4 at the moment. Hopefully I'll get another one before it goes dark. That'd be nice. And still got the rest of tomorrow and tonight as well. So, but yeah, still after that night bite, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they seem to be very active during the day. There you go. Little stocky. That's it. It's going to tent. It's tensing. There we go. Ooh, come on, behave. Putting on a little bit of a display. I'm going to get it back quite quickly because this one's tensing up and it's going to flip, and I don't want it to flip and hurt itself. Got about probably an hour left now before that sun goes behind the horizon and it's going to get dark. So I'm running out of bite time. I'm going to set the alarm though this morning for 4:30 because I snoozed it, and by the time I got my butt out of bed I actually missed quite a lot, I think. But yeah, still a chance of that night bite. Does 10 a year apparently. Might be one of those 10. So yeah, I've had a little bit of a issue because I'm running out of bait as well, so I've had to rummage through my van and find half bags of 𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗲 that I've mixed with half a bag of hemp, a tin of sweet corn, a little bit of pellet out my bag box bucket, and yeah, I've made my own little concoction up, and that's what I had that last fish on. So maybe I've stumbled across something, a new ingredients, a new recipe to draw them on to the spot. But the only problem is I threw a little bit down there just to test it, see what it looked like, and put a rig over it, and it looked really, really good. I went back, had a look at that about an hour later, and it's pretty much been cleared out by roach, and there's just the bigger particle there. So I might have to bring them rods in just before dark or when it gets into dark and re-bait back up. Now I've saved the spots with the bait boat, so I can just go straight back out there and drop it back on, but I think I need to up the amount of bait because yeah, there's a lot of small fish in here that are smashing me to pieces, and if I can't draw them in with the bait, I'm losing the chance of catching one of these bigger fish in here. But there we go.
That's what we want.
We do want a big fish. We want one of
the oldies.
We want the oldies. We want one of the old fish that are in this lake. Don't mind catching any fish, but I'm after one of the old ones, one of the originals that would just finish this off. It'd be lovely. Lovely, I say. I just burn my finger on my tea. And that's a wrap.
No, it's not a wrap yet, mate.
It's a wrap for tonight.
Yeah, we'll probably see in the morning because there's no night lights.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get a good night's sleep again.
Yep. All right.
As expected, a very quiet night last night. Not a lot of activity this morning either. Yesterday we had a fish by now, and they were starting to be a little bit more active, but not today. But there's another twist now. I'm running low on my special slop that I made, and I'm literally down to boilie only. So not out of choice, I'm going to be fishing boilie only, and it'd be funny if that makes a difference though, wouldn't it? But I'm going to have this cup of tea. Jamie, it's one for you as well, and yeah, let's crack on with this.
Happy with that?
Over the moon. Wonderful. Mate, what a fish.
It's got to be a hand-picked pictures fish, isn't it?
100%. Anyone would be proud to have that one down there. Well, there we go. Not the biggest, but what a cracking fish to end this session. Look at the scale pattern on that. overall, I think this has been a very successful trip. So my time on this lake has come to an end, but I've really enjoyed myself. The scenery here is absolutely picturesque, and I cannot stress enough. I would definitely get yourself on here, not just for the fishing, but just for everything. It's like a little paradise. It wasn't to be for me. I didn't manage to get one of those bigger fish, nor did I manage to get that night bite, but I still managed to get some nice fish anyway. So I'm really happy about that. So just wish I had a little bit longer to be on the lake, but I haven't. So I've got to make that long 5-hour trip now back to the southeast coast, which I'm not enjoying, but I would like to come back here at some point. Who knows? But get yourself on this lake, it's phenomenal.